Hello and welcome back to the Near Spiritual Awakening podcast with Dr. Val. And today I have very special guest who is Russian, just like me, but living abroad, just like me. So, and, quite an intellectual and accomplished individual and somebody who, I aspire, who inspires me ultimately. And I'm just so thrilled that she accepted my invitation to be a guest on this podcast. So thank you so much for being here, Olga. I will let you introduce yourself. That's what I do with my guests because you know yourself better than I do. So without any further ado, please introduce yourself. Thanks.
Dr. Well, thank you so much for your warm welcoming. Yes, it's a big pleasure and honor for me to talk to you as well because I see you as a solid individual and also sort of exception in the field of science because you present exactly that mix that we need. From the one hand, we have solid education, PhD. From the other hand, we have spiritual path. So I do hope that, yes, our conversation will inspire others to follow probably the same road. Well, my name is Olga. I was born in Moscow in Soviet Union 43 years ago. I'm a SRA, Satanic Ritual Abuse and Mind Control researcher and investigator. I'm a psychologist who works with survivors of SRA and MK Ultra. I'm also the Russian voice of the, I would say, historical project 50 Voices of Ritual Abuse, where 50 people give their testimonies about the Satanic Ritual Abuse background. And I would say, human being who is doing her best to live a decent life and to inspire others by own example and by own knowledge to follow their own core and essence.
Wow. What an incredible woman. Again, I'm just thrilled to have you on, and I am astounded at what you do. Really, really, really. As I was, as my listeners know, and if you're new to the podcast, you'll get to know me, but I'm really into learning everything there's to learn outside of the 3D because I am very 3D based. Anything outside of the 3D, I can link back to the 3D as a neuroscientist. That's my forte, and I enjoy doing that when a person is like, "Oh, I did, ancestral activation." Okay, great. Let me tell you what happened in your DNA and in your brain. So that's me. I can tell you what happens when you do that kind of stuff. Um, and at the same time, the veil lifted for me kind of gradually, but especially a year and a half ago when I heard about SRA from Max Lowen, who was on this podcast recently. So I'm kind of like really just interested in learning more. So you're a great resource for that because you're a researcher in that exact field. So I'm excited to learn more and more and more as kind of as uncomfortable as it is, or it may sound to some of the listeners, as I said on the last episode, hey, this is real. Get with reality. If you don't like it, well, too bad. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely, dear. Do you have something to add?
No, you go.
Thank you. Well, yes, I would say people can and free to do any kind of ancestral activations, any kind of numerology, astrology readings, energy healing, kundalini activation, retreats, whatever is there. However, if we don't have solid informational ground for where we are and why, all that is almost for nothing. Why I'm saying that? Well, I'm saying that because SRA, as you have said, dear Dr. Well, it's not only part of our world and not only it's real. Unfortunately, it shapes and structures our reality. So basically, the main idea, what I always say to people who just what you have said, that, oh, I have did this, I have read lots of books, lots of retreats and so on. If we don't know the foundation, and I always say the survivors and the information they provide, and for this, I am forever grateful for any of those absolutely amazing, brave, exceptional, courageous individuals. So the information that they provide at the cost of, I would say, human effort, it's priceless because that's exactly the key where we are and why. The structure of our world, for thousands of years is unfortunately ruled by dark forces. We live in deliberately created illusion that there is only love and light. And this already got us so far. According to your request, Dr. Wall, I would also add some details how it started for me. And as you are born in, well, those back then in Soviet times, I was born in Moscow in Soviet Union. And however, I never considered myself as very spiritual, something like that. But I always knew that there was something. First of all, there was not a day in my life when I didn't live without God. I always, when people asking like, do you believe in God? Well, that question is a little bit weird for me because, I mean, it's like, do you believe in nature? Well, I can't answer that because the nature is there. Like, the thing is that, do you want to look at that or not? Do you want to live in according with nature or not? So my answer is, no, I don't believe in God. I know God and I live with God. So this part of my journey was always out of question. That means that I always knew that there is benevolent force. And I always, maybe not knew on that moment, but I was feeling always that there is something else. That if there is a God, there is something else. And that's why probably we are where we are. But I couldn't find that missing point, that missing puzzle, the key, until I found, I just remember this phrase in one of the books of the David Icke, that mind control slave. I was like, okay, slave, I do understand, but mind control, I mean, what do you mind control? How can you control a mind? Because mind is in my head and my head is separate than everyone else. And then I started to dig. And that's how I found out about satanic ritual abuse, because satanic ritual abuse and mind control, these are basically the same things, because you can't be in satanic ritual structures without being mind controlled. So that's basically the same field. It can be a government mind control and other highly organized organizations. However, satanic ritual abuse is not possible without mind control. So that's how my path started. And the first book that really made an impact for me, and I will explain why, was a book of Swiss survivor Chantal Frey. She's an ex-Illuminati mother of darkness rank. And I remember the moment when I was, currently I'm based in Spain, then I was on the beach just reading her book. And it was written, I think that's, it was the description of the most horrific ritual I have ever not even heard, I even couldn't imagine. And at the end of that ritual, she was forced to participate. There was it was in Sagrada Familia, Barcelona. And that cathedral, world famous, was 20 minutes drive from my place. So when something like that is so close to you, that was the moment when I realized that this kind of book you just can't simply close and then go and say, oh, okay, what will I have for dinner? You know, it's just too much. So I just remember I closed the book and my first thought was like, okay, what now? Because for me, it was clear that I just can't close it and just go on. I can't continue my life like nothing has happened, because for me, my internal essence, my core knew that it was internal click. Okay, this is it. This is what is missing. This is why we are where we are. This is why endless wars, which are global sacrifices, we will not go into detail, but just that our audience understand why wars actually never stop on this planet. We have huge conflicts right now. However, if historically, if we look, war never ends. So is it the normal, just people like you and me with children or families who won these wars? No, I'm really in doubts, because we just want to live our lives. So there must be something behind that rules that. And it was exactly that force, the dark demonic force, that I found out through the, first of all, Chantal's private book. And I contacted Chantal because I wanted to, it was in English, and surprisingly, he answered. I say surprisingly because in the field of satanic ritual abuse and mind control, anyone can be anyone. So, of course, there were lots of vetting in between us before she finally gave me permission to translate her book and to start to present her book in Russian communities as well, because I have translated it. It was the first time that material of this context was presented in Russian. And since then, it's years already, my path started. And I would say, and well, you can't encourage people into these topics, I would say, because let's be honest, dear Dr. Wall, that it is overwhelming. It is deep, it is intense. And when I say it's not for everyone, I do mean it in a sense that you do have to have a grown-up psychic structure to be able to handle this truth. However, I know that your audience is exactly one of those. And for anyone who thinks that if there is a link between our reality and the state of the world for thousands of years, not only now, and satanic ritual abuse, well, I would say definitely yes. And that's exactly what people need to know, where we are and why.
Mm. Wow. Again, thank you for just, well, revealing and sharing your experience and discovery and awakening to this whole world that is not present for most human beings until it is now, like it is for you, for me, and hopefully for, many more people, so that we grow in numbers, we awaken together, we grow in numbers and spirit and energy, because I believe in that, as we were just discussing before. This is the time of energy exchange, like being in each other's energy fields, exactly what you were saying. It's really important because yes, we are in the 3D reality, and it's very important to be based in here rather than anywhere else, because hey, I always say this, but we are here. Like, we're here. I'm not talking to you in 12D. I'm talking to you in 3D through this screen. Okay. Like, I wish we could do this telepathically. It would save me the technological issues, but and transmit it to the people of the world. I really do. But that's not the case. That's actually, hey, maybe in a couple of years we'll be there, but we're not there now. So it's really important that a human being of your level of expertise, with psychology, all these things. I'm a neuroscientist, just a bit of a different flavor, more sciencey, but still, if you don't know human behavior and you're dabbling in all these kind of different practices that are now readily available, it can become very, very dangerous. And yeah, you might up somewhere where you really don't want to be.
Absolutely, dear Dr. Wall, and I appreciate that you're bringing up this topic, which I think is ultimately important to cover. And that's absolutely, I would say, I would use the word process. That's exactly you, as science with a PhD, is talking about that, because that's exactly what you have said, that it can become dangerous. And I would say it already became dangerous because exactly what you have said. We are living, even though we have solid education, you and me, and we know what's science, what's reality is, and we are, I do believe, we are grounded. However, we're also living in times, it's a new era of Aquarius, and it's all about energy. It's all ether and so on. And that's why exactly it's so important to pay attention where we direct this energy to and who is around us. Because yes, we are not only physical bodies. First of all, we have not only a physical body, we have multiple numbers of bodies. We will not go into the details right now, but we have to understand that at least we have every single person of us has energy field. This energy field in our times is in constant interactions with everything what's around, with everything and everyone. So that's what you have mentioned, Dr. Wall, in the beginning, that ancestral activation. We can do that, no problem. Who is doing that? Who is the tool who is providing this, so to speak, so-called activations? I say so-called, not in any disrespect to any of this kind of discipline. We have astrology, we have numerology, we have angel readings, we have energy readings, energy healing, Kundalini activations, whatever is there. All this, yes, all this forms part of the reality. However, and very big but, this is not instead of real work. This is not instead of real shadow work. This is not instead of self-love. This is not instead of real therapy. Because many people, lots of people who participate in those kind of retreats and workshops and seminars and webinars, these are people who call themselves spiritual. For me, it's a fake spirituality because I see it as a reality escape. Look at I'm saying it here, it's only my opinion. Again, I'm not encouraging you to believe me, I'm not encouraging you to think the way I think. I speak only by my own experience, and this experience is based on years in this field. So why I'm saying what I'm saying, that please, dear ones, be careful. If you go to some activation readings, whatever is there, future divination, look at the person who provides these services. Feel it. Go inside. All the answers inside. You know better than me or better than anyone, if it's for you or not. Because the person who is working with you, it's not only the physical person who is in front, it's the entire etheric and energetical structure. And if there are gaps, and if there are diseases, illness, and just simply speaking, huge mess, which is in many cases is the case in this energetical field and life of this person, it will mix with you. If you are not psychologically strong enough and internal structure is can be infantile, which is many of us we have, also deliberately created by higher structures because it's easy to control us this way. If we're all children at small and something is big, that is there. So who is in front of you? Who is working with you? Listen to yourself. Do I trust this person? Do I want, first of all, because we have, well, Dr. Wall, you know better than me that we have mirror neurons in us, and we do copy. If we want or don't want, that doesn't matter. Brain doesn't count that. We do copy who is in front. So we not only copy who's in front, we basically take the energy. And that's, for example, again, thank you, Dr. Wall, for mentioning in our private talk, famous now everywhere we can see Ayahuasca and some kind of retreats and so on. Here I want to make really important statement if some of you want to participate. First of all, who is this person who will lead the retreat? Second, look at the people around if you arrive there eventually. Why I'm saying that? Because when you're participating in this kind of events, your consciousness is opening, your energy field is opening. You are open to absolutely every kind of mess which is around. That means that you pick up every energy which is around you. If you're strong enough, if you have strong protection, and first of all, if you're grounded, common sense, and your internal structure and your energy field is strong enough, well, you will have this experience. You might never want to repeat that, but okay, you have it. However, if you're already in a big mess in your life, the chances are very high that this will not help you, to say the least, because simply you're opening that moment yourself, and everything which is not unhealed around, you will be open to that. I'm not saying it to scare you. I'm saying it to you just to make a proper decisions on the very grounded information I have gathered for years working with people who did participate, I would say probably already in this kind of phrase. Because the consequences, it will be that you will really need very hard work on yourself after that to bring yourself back, to know who you are, to feel your energy, to feel your spirit. So this is all part of our reality. And especially now it's important because, Dr. Wall, you, as I have said, and you have said that you're not only just a scientist with PhD. PhD you don't get on 2 online courses and 1 month something online education. No, this is a solid study. This is a solid years of dedication. People who call themselves, and there are huge numbers of them, who call themselves astrology readers, numerology readers, angel readers, whatever that means, and all that stuff. These are people who usually attended 2 hours online workshop. They have a mobile in their hands, they know technology, and they know how to prepare the website. So this is where we're in this kind of mess. Please, dear ones, pay attention. Who is in front of you? Who is in front of you? Try to feel this energy, because there are people, and you have interviewed, and I have interviewed, for example, Rachel Vaughan. There are people who are born with gifts. And looking at Rachel, she even doesn't have to say anything. It's just you see it, her, this solid power, solid structure. However, this can be compared with 2 hours of online workshop. Oh, and now I'm a healer. No, you're not. You're not. This is reality escape for many of those healers who need help. Some of them, they need really serious psychological help. And I really encourage every one of you, dear ones, really be careful whom you are working with, who is in your environment, because yes, everything is energy, and we do connect. All of us, we are connected with energies. And sometimes people say, well, I'm so tired. I can't, for example, I want to reach some goals. I want to change my work and so on, or maybe relationship. And I don't have energy for that. Well, because your energy is not with you. Your energy is somewhere else. And your energy is contaminated with probably those toxic and unhealed persons who are around, who were on those retreats and so on. So there are no small details here. And we really have to be careful whom we're dealing with.
Absolutely. I mean, it's such an important message coming from yourself, who has years of experience and expertise working, picking up the lost fragments of people's souls, basically. So you are, as much as you're doing like, therapeutic work, you're doing energetic work. You're helping these people literally re-piece themselves back together. I lost my word there, but it's literally like to become whole and complete after just being dispersed. And listen, as I was saying to you, I've had that experience, and I share about it openly. I've shared about it on this podcast. I've done the ayahuasca journey. I've seen what I've seen, and then I've done lots and lots of work after that. So yeah, it's like I've had that experience where, yeah, it's not just something to dabble in on the weekend, because ultimately it doesn't work. It doesn't actually work. Unless you're there like every day, it doesn't actually work, because you've got to be in this reality and live. And as you say, like, you've got bills to pay, you've got children to raise, nappies to change in my case. There's like the day-to-day stuff that you've got to be grounded enough and adult enough to do, and the conversations to have that ultimately we need to have with people who, yeah, who who know themselves.
Yeah, absolutely, dear Dr. Wall. And that's exactly what you say, that you have to deal with people around us. And for example, lots of people, they have a good intention. I just know that, we have to raise an awareness about satanic ritual abuse, about mind control, and therefore about our reality. But if we really want to do so, we have to understand that still the majority live exactly like you, Dr. Wall, say. They have children, they have mortgage, they have very basic needs, that have to be, I also have them. They have to be fulfilled every single day, no matter what astrology number, no matter what angel number, no matter what tarot card says. We have to deal with reality every single day. So if we really want to provide the information about our reality, I would say the way it is, we have to look and behave the most normal way that we can. Because people who are not still, I wouldn't say receptive, but let's say simply have no idea about the reality of our world, these are not people who live with the 100 angel intense dimension. No, these are not. These are very basic people who go to grocery store. If we speak to them with the language of spirits, energies, dark forces, no, too far. It's just too far. And especially if we look like we are from those dimensions. It's a we all have seen those probably individuals, everything in white or everything in purple. I don't know, 10,000 of crystals around, unicorns here, fairies there. All yes, and somehow true for them and in the bigger context. But this is just too far from the population we want to reach. So I encourage you to be encourage to all of your audience, dear Dr. Wall, to be grounded to understand if we really want to make a contribution. We have, I wouldn't say, we don't have to simplify ourselves, and we don't have to pretend that we are someone we are not at all. But we have to understand that the majority of the population, they speak in grounded terms, so-called. And if we want to provide information about these very serious and dense topics, we have to be serious. It's some things they can't be provided with in a sense of a joke or laugh or whatever. Of course, my very close friends are survivors, and we do have jokes in between us. Absolutely, of course. However, when we do the recordings, when we doing podcasts, interviews, there is another energy there because people have to understand that it is serious. So yes, as I have said, I encourage you to be grounded, to look around, and if you are to make a contribution, first of all, to make a contribution to yourself, because save yourself and thousands will be saved around you, and this is so true. So it's very easy to run around and to help everyone else. Again, reality escape and escape of your own life path. So first of all, it's you, and only you. This is not selfish. This is not egoistic. This is exactly what, if you want to, if we can call it God or higher power, higher force, universe wants from us. If we don't live according our own wills and our own I want, we don't know who we are. And if we don't know who we are, we can't love ourselves, because we can't love those who we don't know. Because to love oneself and to care about oneself is to give that person, in this case, it's ourselves, is to give those what they want and what they need. If we don't know it, we can't provide this proper love. And this love is foundation of everything, especially if we work in this field as Satanic Ritual Abuse and mind control, where lots of trauma, absolutely the heaviest, the most dense trauma on this planet. One is not capable, not possible, and I would say not entitled to work with and in this field without proper self-love, self-respect, and work with oneself. I work endlessly on myself. I have a therapist as well. I'm constantly doing my shadow work. I'm every single week I'm doing, so to speak, time for myself day. Well, sometimes it's not a day because I'm quite busy, but it can be half a day, maybe 6 hours, when I dedicate myself only, well, excuse me for repetition, for myself. I dedicate time only for myself, because this is the foundation of my quality work with others. Then other thing,
Absolutely.
please.
No, no, absolutely. Say the other thing, and then I want to ask you another question, but
Yeah.
what's the other
The,
thing?
the other thing is sleep, is good
Mm,
quality sleep. Dear ones, we're living in times where absolutely we are overwhelmed with any kind of information around us. And even if you're like me, who is who is spending less time with mobile when it's possible, because sometimes it's just simple work. However, we're not living vacuum, and there is any kind of information around us. So our brain simply doesn't get enough rest. So biology, while as we were talking in our physical bodies, biology is always the foundation of our well-being, and our well-being is the foundation of our work. So good sleep is the foundation of absolutely everything.
oh, yes. I'm saying this as a mother of a baby. I'm just like, I need sleep. But I mean, hey, you know what? Motherhood is amazing. Your brain rewires and you can be at least look human without sleeping. At least you can look human, I'm telling you. Or have a conversation, with with an educated individual. But the brain adapts. Yeah, neuroplasticity. I'm a big fan of it because I'm actually benefiting from it right now. Sleep is a luxury, and oh my goodness, I'm so thrilled that you've said everything that you've said. But it's because I've been doing that work. It resonates so much because I've just been doing that work so recently. You could the work, yeah, the work, like the work. The question that I had, how would you define shadow work? Like you, how would you define shadow work? Please, because we can talk about it from many different ways, but for yourself.
First of all, dear ones, it's a good news and a bad news. First of all, shadow work, and I will go into details a little bit later, is an absolutely necessary for our own healing journey. All of us, every single person on this planet right now, and not only right now, in the past lives and the future lives, we do have traumas, ancestral traumas, and we do have lots of things to work on. So the shadow work is the foundation and the basement, I would say, for our healing and our well-being. What is shadow work? And the other thing is that it's endless. Because endless, I'm not saying it again, it's not negative context. I'm saying it that when you hear that some therapist or some person is saying, oh, I have done my shadow work, mm, hold on, because shadow work is unfolding on the entire your life path, because we do have things. And some things, we have layers and layers of these shadows. What is shadow? That's our, I don't want to say negative sides, but that's, for example, let's say qualities and situations inside us that still need to be addressed, that still need to be processed. And why it's so important, that they are on the way to our happiness and health, because body keeps the score. If we do not work on ourselves, body will show you this score sooner or later. So that's why shadow work is the foundation. We go inside, we look for the answers inside us. And for example, in my case, as I have said, my shadow work is absolutely endless. Sometimes I pay more attention. Sometimes I know that it's going on only when, for example, I hear a comment. Not necessary towards me, just maybe people talking. And I'm like, and I can feel irritated. I'm like, nah, how can she or he says that? Aha. This is the key for the shadow work, because the conversation, it's not even about me. There is this hook inside me who is judging, who is feeling victimized, who is feeling threatened. And there are layers and layers. So this is the shadow work. And immediately, as far as I'm a psychologist and I work with people, so this is my ultimate responsibility, first of all, to work with myself. So right away, if I'm busy at that moment, I make a mental note, and I'll come back to that later. If I'm not busy, I can be, I don't know, just walking my dog and hear something, and that triggers me. Right away, I'm like, oh, look, what is inside? What is that? Look, why do you feel this way? Why so? What's there? And how old are you? Because why? Because this is trauma response. Because this is the age where something happened. When we have to understand, of course, the meaning of trauma is completely different when we speak about survivors and people like you and me, Dr. Dr. Wall, and me, that we can call ourselves, we are not survivors. However, we are all still, we have our little trauma, so to speak, from the childhood. Don't get me wrong, dear ones. People can be born in very loving families and so on, but we are born on earth. We are not born on heaven and earth. We are born into life. And we are born here to have lessons, to learn that, so to go through them. So that means, well, probably unfortunately for us, that we will have our traumas. We will have, because I was born in an absolutely normal family. Well, I would say, yes, my mother was narcissistic, and but that can't be compared to this kind of trauma that I'm working with and that survivors are going through. So, but still, I did have traumas. I had a very good school years and university years, so I wasn't bullied. I not like that. However, still, I had situations in the childhood. So those situations, no matter how small they are, they did have an impact on my psyche. And these are the small shadows that are inside. And if they're there when they're triggering me, I have to come back to that age of trauma, or the moment of trauma. I am asking myself, I'm going inside very lovingly, my dear girl, what is there? What can I do for you now? How can we look at that situation? Let's be honest. Honest talk with oneself is always the key. Honest talk. Dear ones, I want to also point to one thing here. It's a process. It takes time, because in many cases, I have had a client come and say, well, I don't hear anything inside. I don't know. Absolutely normal and fine, because no one taught us to hear and to listen to ourselves. In case of survivors, it was simply dangerous. So we do have start to teach ourselves, to love ourselves, to listen ourselves, to know who we are. What also another important moment might, if that doesn't resonate, just keep it for the later. But just trust me by years of my work that we do love ourselves exactly till that degree, till that our mother loved us. It's very important, so I want to repeat. We love ourselves only to that degree that our mothers loved us. What does it mean? It means that in most of the cases, we don't know what it is, especially in case of survivors. There is just no option like that. Because to love, mother love was dangerous. Mother, they were not permitted to love their children. And in many cases, mothers were handlers and programmers. So, but even Dr. Val, for example, in our background, if we look historically, I wouldn't talk for yourself, but I will talk for myself and my family. My mother and her mother, my granny and grannies from the both sides, I would say they were trying to give their best. However, it was the generation after the Second World War, absolutely devastated. The question was to survive, not how to love. We didn't have, there was no diapers, there was no proper food, there is no nothing. In this case, we are in a survivor mode that our mothers were. That's why there is no judgment towards them. They simply didn't know how to show us this love in many cases. Because also in the cases of, for example, maybe parents who had money and who had everything, they were trying to give, and they were giving presents and gifts. This is not love. let's not confuse gifts with love. So we are the generation who simply doesn't know what actually this self-love is, because no one showed us. No one taught us. Our mothers, they didn't know. And that's
Mm.
why the most important task, to be the first one in our ancestral line, to love ourselves properly, to care about ourselves, to know who we are. And for this, we need shadow work.
Yes. I'm just like soaking in every word you're saying. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is like I'm like, am I in a therapy session with her? And this is now gonna go everywhere on the internet. It is, it just resonates so much because it is the kind of work that I've been doing and, will be doing, obviously, because there's just there's no other way. There's just no other way. I know it sounds very like blunt, but there's just no other way around it. You gotta do the work, or not, but then what are you doing? What are you actually doing? If you're not doing the work, what are you doing in this day and age where it's like almost you're gonna be pushed to do the work, even if you don't want to do the work. At some point, it becomes like that.
Absolutely. And I would like to just have a short comment. Oh, absolutely what you said, Dr. Well, you will be pushed, and you will be pushed. Why? Not because God or universe or higher power, no matter how you call it, is bad or vengeance. It's not that. Dear ones, the main goal of the universe, higher power, or how you call it, is evolution. It's not to punish us. It's not suffering, even though in case of survivors, it is, of course, different and difficult. However, we speak, let's say, in very general terms. So the goal of the universe is always evolution, evolution and evolution. It's not suffering. It's not to make us, to punish us or whatever is there. It's evolution. So we do have to evolve. And absolutely every single individual who is on this planet right now, he or she, they have their path of a hero, if we are talking about archetypes, the path of the hero. Absolutely every single one of you, dear ones, who are here now on this planet, have every tool you need to go through these times of change. Absolutely biblical and historical. You do have. Even if you think and feel, no, I'm just a small human being. No, no, no. You would not be here on this planet in this absolutely historical time if you will not be capable not only to handle it, but to go through it and to show your entire ancestral line, to show the entire numbers of the generations who stand behind you what human being is capable for, and to show and to take back the glory of the human race. Because what is happening right now, the dark forces, they're diminishing. They're trying to diminish and to show, no, you're small ones and you're all your old children and the big daddy will be taking care about you. Dear ones, we don't need any big daddy. We don't need any, I would say, malevolent authority over us. We do have capacity and we do have energy. We do have all we need inside us to go through it. And again, shadow work is one of the keys for that. And self-love, always.
So brilliant and so applicable. I'm just really thrilled with this episode. So I hope every word is caught. And, if you're listening, I hope you're hanging on to every word because it's just so, so valuable in this day and age. And again, I just want to thank you for bringing the depth of your expertise to this podcast, to myself, to the listeners. It has been a serious podcast, but I'm just so present to it has to be at some point. I love to joke around. I've got this kind of bubbly personality / trauma response. I like to joke,
All
but
of us.
we do. But hey, you know what? I also know when to get serious, and this is like serious. It's non-negotiable. It's serious. So, yeah. Yeah, I'm just really great that you brought that here with us. And again, I think, yeah, perfect way to end the episode, although I can just keep using your time and your expertise. We do have to end the thing. But just thank you, thank you, thank you. Really, I'm kind of speechless a little bit because I'm processing everything that you said. But just really thank you. It's been so wonderful hearing you speak. Thank you.
Huge gratitude, Dr. Wall. And for me, you're also an inspiration and the greatest example is of a real scientist. Why I say real? Because in our times, in the new era where we do speak and we do communicate with energies, if you really want to evolve, if you want, and you're a great teacher with your course, if you want to pass the knowledge in the proper way on the next level of evolution, just old school education is already not enough. We have to move forward. We have to know more. And you, Dr. Wall, with the PhD, with the solid education, you are the one of those bravest scientists who are stepping forward and who is speaking their truth, who is holding their voice with integrity and strength on the behalf of all of us. And yes, thank you so much for your invitation as well.
You're so welcome. And hey, it's my absolute pleasure and privilege. Thank you. Okay, well, thank you for the listeners for engaging with this and applying it in your life. That's my intention. And Olga, where people can find you if they want to find you, if you want to be found.
Well, I do have, first of all, that's probably might be more interesting for people who are interested in information about survivors and SRA and NK field and ritual abuse mind control field. Without going into too deep and without going into too overwhelming and horrific details, because I do understand that that's what we were saying, talking, Dr. Wall, that people do have their lives. And I absolutely understand that. At the end of the day, when you have children, when you have mortgage, when you have grocery store, when you have elderly parents, you don't need satanic rituals. I do understand that. This is life. It might be painful for survivors, but especially now people are surviving as well, many of them. However, we do have provide the information about our world, because if we do not know the structure, it's not going to be love and light, and meditation is not the solution for all of that. The information, knowledge is absolute power. So I'm doing from time to time interviews, just like you, Dr. Wall, short ones, 30, 25, 40 minutes maybe, with survivors who are explaining the structure, the fabrics of our world. And again, we're doing it in the, well, the word comfortable is not very appropriate when we talk about satanic rituals. But however, we do provide information in the most comfortable way. However, I would say it like that. So we can give a link to the Telegram channel where it's posted. I do have two Instagram accounts. One account is just for work, where I also post interviews. And the other one, I just opened it very recently, I think maybe 3 weeks ago or something, where I do publish, and my intention is to continue publishing the talks and the information we were talking right now. So maybe some private tools and instruments that help me in my journey. And yes, it's more psychology combined, and for survivors and for non-survivors. So you can give a link, and yeah, people can direct me, contact me if they want to work on me. So yes.
Great. Awesome. I'll pop all that in the show notes. And I'm thrilled you're making yourself available to the people. Again, thank you so much. And dear listeners, thank you so much for listening. And until next time.